Happy Tuesday, y'all, and welcome to our Tuesday Talks with Tiffanie and our special guest, Vance. Welcome, Vance.
Hello there.
Are you excited to be here?
It's Tuesday, and I'm with you, so yes.
Yay! Now, where are you joining us from?
The eastern shore of Maryland.
Cool up there today?
It is actually beautiful. Right now, it's about 60 degrees, bright sunshine.
Nice. Now, got what's going on in the outside of the world. What's going on in your office? Tell us, what is your company?
The company is Deliver Service Now Institute, and we show, yes, snazzy, isn't it?
I like it.
Well, thank you. And at the Institute, we show businesses how to Disneyfy themselves, another snazzy word. And what that really means is how to really wow and create experiences for your customers or patients, and then how to monetize them.
Okay, so if I heard you right, I don't know that I've ever heard Disneyfied as a word, though. Just FYI, y'all, on my bucket list is I want to make up a word that becomes part of the English vernacular. So I'm there with you. What is Disneyfy all about?
Yeah, well, please don't. I thought I created the word. I really did. And in my definition is creating experiences out of the mundane. So we all have boring, mundane things that we have to do day in and day out in our businesses to make them run. Disney has figured out a way to make all those boring, mundane things interesting and an experience. So hence the Disneyfy. But please do not go to the Urban Dictionary version of it, because it's not pretty.
Is it one of those words that has like a positive connotation and then a negative connotation to it?
It's a connotation, yes.
Oh, all right. Now that sounds like a conversation I'll have with AI this afternoon. Tell me
There
a
you
little
go.
bit about the various definitions of Disneyfy. Love it. So are you a huge Disney guy?
Yeah, I worked for the Mouse for 10 years. Spent just a tick over a decade working in the resorts. I still am a Disney fan. I really feel that they are still the gold standard when it comes to creating experiences for their guests or their customers. I stay away from all the political stuff because, well, that just doesn't matter when it comes to creating experiences. So I don't touch any of that stuff. But Disney is still the gold standard, along with Ritz-Carlton or Zappos or Harley-Davidson, still at the top.
Yeah, it is sometimes interesting how the politics of things can come into play, and that doesn't mean you always have to play into it. And I know right now we're at a pretty charged political realm, but yeah, I don't really talk politics either. So yes, sometimes places have amazing stories. I hear people all the time talking about how amazing Chick-fil-A is. And they've got their own set of politics too. The glory of being a US-based company is if you own the company, you can kind of, do what you want. Now, that may impact who chooses to buy from you. And that's the glory of you get to have your opinion.
Well, and that's the key thing. You have to stand for something. You can't be vanilla, because then you attract nobody. I mean, vanilla, it's the most popular flavor of ice cream. It is. Everybody, if you ask anybody,
is it the most popular flavor because it's the one that can be added to, or things can be added to the most?
Yeah, you can put some Bananas Foster on there. You can really dress it up. But for a business, you do not want to be vanilla, because your marketing and what you stand for should be designed to attract your ideal customer and repel the ones that are not going to be a good match for you. And a lot of people forget that that's what your marketing is really designed to do, is attract who you want and repel, sift, sort, and screen out the ones that would just be, for lack of a better word, PIA clients. And well, life's too short to have a bunch of folks around that are no fun or stick in the muds.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, in my vision of an ideal business, I love all of my clients. Not to say they can't annoy me sometimes, because that's just life in general. I annoy myself sometimes. So we anticipate that other people could annoy us. That happens. But yeah, I really love the idea. And it's interesting because I use the same verbiage of we're like magnets, like to attract the right people at the same time we're repelling the wrong
Yeah.
people.
Can we go back to Chick-fil-A for a second?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to Chick-fil-A for a second.
No, they are the perfect example, really, for any small business that says, I can't get my employees to do this, or the applicant pool is too shallow, or there's no good workers out there. Well, you know what? If you've got a Chick-fil-A in your town, they are pulling from the same applicant pool that McDonald's is pulling from, that your grocery store is pulling from. And yet they somehow manage to get their employees to say, please, thank you, my pleasure. And you go to McDonald's, who is hiring from the same high school, the same general population, and they can barely get their employees to grunt at you, through the drive-in. So Chick-fil-A, whatever you think about their chicken or their, or their service, you have to admit their culture is powerful in that they can get pimply faced teenagers who are not thinking about restaurants and chicken. They've got their mind on everything else, and how they can still manage to get them to have those pleasantries, just like you were talking to grandma.
So do you think that it is in how they're hiring and the questions that they're asking? Do you think it's in their orientation? Do you think it's in their culture? A combination of a little from A, B, and C? Like, what do you think is the difference from them? And I mean, for any of us that go places like Chick-fil-A, I was watching, there's a Southern memes people. I'll look it up in a minute. Something about, Southern y'all, are you Southern? And it was like they were at a restaurant and the server was being annoying. And so they were making fun. I think it was Chick-fil-A Prime. And so you get a Chick-fil-A person that comes to you to take care of you in the other business. I mean, it's a massive shift.
It is. And, to go to your original question, I think it is a combination of the three. First and foremost, you've got to hire not so much for the aptitude as you do for the attitude. Hiring people that have a heart for service. They truly want to serve, whether they're cleaning carpet, frying chicken, whatever their job is. That is something that they bring with them to the job. You can't train niceness. You have to bring that. Their training and onboarding, yeah. I mean, I would say their orientation is probably on par with Disney's, where they really set the stage for the culture of Chick-fil-A. Starting with Kathy, with the owner, really bringing the owner, the founder, into orientation. I had a friend of mine was an instructor at Disney's orientation, which is called Traditions, and his whole thing, the whole message, was to try to bring Walt into the room for all of these new employees. That's the feeling that they were trying to get. And once they got that, I mean, it was easy. It was easy to get these people to say, hi, good morning, please, thank you. Swoop down and pick up little pieces of trash off the pavement, seemingly before it even hits.
Yeah, it is interesting that you mentioned that, because I'm in Tampa, Florida, which means I'm a hop, skip, and a jump from Disney. I mean, depending on what traffic looks like on 4, I can probably get there in 70 minutes ish if my husband's driving, a little bit longer if I'm driving. But it's such a different park. I remember we went to, not to knock, we went to a theme park. I think it was Atlanta, Georgia. And I was just like, there's gum over there and there's trash. I mean, Disney really, from the beginning of when you come in and the gates and throughout the entirety of the park. And so I know what I talk about a lot is referrals. Let's get people in the door. You come at it, that's part of the conversation as well. But a big part of it is, how do we keep the people once we have them? So this audience that's watching today, full of our entrepreneurs that I'm working with to get referrals, what do they need to know so that once they get those new clients, they can keep those clients? Because y'all, it is so much easier to keep your clients than to have that turnover.
And it's cheaper.
Oh, and it's cheaper. So it's a win. It's less expensive and it's easier. Yay, y'all.
You know, I mean, well, you know, you look at, I mean, I don't know if I've told you, I own 3 home service businesses here in Maryland, one of which is a carpet cleaning company. And I looked at my Google report last week, and for the prior month, to get a new customer in the door through Google was $150. Not cheap by carpet cleaner standards. Now, maybe if you're selling $10,000 widgets, that's fine. For me, that's a lot of money. On the flip side, though, once I get a customer, it costs me less than $20 a year to keep them.
Wow.
And remember, it is our job as business owners to remind customers that we exist. It's not their job to remember us. If you think that you've done such an amazing job, they should just remember you because of that amazing job. Trust me, in 24 hours, you are a distant memory. You gotta stay in touch with them, whether it be through email, through newsletters, through postcards. I am a huge proponent of using the U.S. Postal Service. They still have a better deliverability rate than any email provider out there. And the open rate is pretty gosh darn close to 100%. So having this mirage in your brain that just because you do a good job should mean that they're going to refer you or remember to call you back the next time they need you is just that, a mirage. So we have to, during the service, during the time that you're either selling them something or that you are doing your service, everything needs to be set up as a theatrical performance. And that's what Disney does. Everything there is a performance. You know, how they're called cast members. That's what the employees are called. They perform, they don't work in a show, not, you know, in a building. And they are considered performing a role in the show on stage. So there's on stage and off stage areas. And when you're on stage, well, you're on. And when you come at your job from the perspective of a performance, you begin to do it a little differently. So if you went to see, I don't know, Hamilton, the show, and the lead character was just having an off night, had a fight with his girlfriend, and maybe he had indigestion or something, and it was just a lousy performance. Well, you'd be complaining and trying to get your money back. Well, it's the same thing with your business, is you can't afford to have an off day. Your front desk person, whoever answers your phone, Marge, let's call her, she can't have an off day. She needs to be able to answer the phone at 4:55 p.m., right before she's getting ready to leave, the same way she answers the phone at 8 a.m. when she's bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and well-caffeinated. Why should the customer who calls in the afternoon suffer because Marge is tired? No, Marge needs to understand that she is performing a role in your show.
I love that. Even sometimes it's just how we approach things, you know. So if you're the business owner thinking about, okay, how am I empowering my people? How am I inspiring my people? And some of that has to be, you know, we have to show up as the owners in that same mindset, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%, because it starts with the top. I think I told you on another call at some point. I mean, I don't work with companies that have either a training department or HR department, because that means a lot of times the CEO or the owner has kind of abdicated, and well, that's never a good spot to be in.
You know, it's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking about one of my last trips to Disney. So it's been a couple of years. However, I was totally going for Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And so it's like, we have Star Wars, let's go. And I'm thinking about the ride. I don't remember the name. It's the new one. It was the one that the lines are like forever long.
Oh yeah, Rise of the Resistance.
Yes, Rise of the Resistance. And so here's this, you're in line for this ride, and some parks, they might have a little something going on while you're in the line, but the Ride of the Resistance, it's like 30 minutes of content, of rooms, of interactions to get to the actual ride itself. And so I'm even thinking about, for those of you that your business takes a while to deliver the product or service, what are you doing for the clients along the way to help keep them going? And now I'm thinking about, them selling the pictures from after the fact.
Right.
Because if
And
you have the picture, you're looking at it and you're like, I want to do that again.
100%. And Disney calls this linertainment. They entertain you while you're in line, and being in line is part of the experience. So I mean, they've got these private guides that will whisk you around and get you to the front of every line so you can get right on the ride. But you're missing a lot when you do that. I mean, if you go to the Haunted Mansion, you miss the graveyard and all the little, tombstones that have the funny sayings on them. Rise of the Resistance, certainly. You miss that whole pre-show. It takes away from the experience. So, what are you doing in the meantime between the point of sale and the point of delivery? What are you doing to entertain your clients while they're waiting for something? Maybe they're waiting for a proposal, or if you're a kitchen and bath remodeler, maybe they're waiting for the cabinets to show up. What are you doing to make it seem like that time is not so long? And you can, again, using email updates, text updates, do some funny postcards. Hey, here's a picture of Dave and Sam making your cabinets out in Idaho. I mean, it doesn't matter, but you're keeping them informed. More importantly, you're keeping them entertained, because people love to be entertained. I mean, just look at what we pay entertainers versus what we pay educators. That paints the picture right there as to where we put our priorities. So as a business owner, you've got to be somewhat entertaining, and you don't have to be funny, but you've got to let your personality shine through.
Yeah. And now we're back to your personality shining through, which feels like coming back from what we started this conversation around, not being vanilla and bland.
100%. I mean, like I said, that is the worst color or flavor to be. I mean, you want to be Rocky Road, because people with nut allergies, well, they won't come to you. But people that, love that flavor, they'll flock to you. So you've got to be about something. I am known as kind of a no BS coach. And I have somewhat of a snarky, sarcastic sense of humor. That turns a lot of people off. Oh, well, I mean, and don't ask me a question if you don't want the answer. I mean, so many people these days are just afraid to say something that puts them, in one area or one market. And they don't realize that when you niche, you get so much more price elasticity. You can charge more. I mean, geez, look at Disney and their price increases. They do it. They do it unabashedly. I mean, they don't care. But they're also raising the prices to try to keep people out. And it's not a pleasant thing to say, but if you can charge more with less wear and tear on your company, why wouldn't you do that? And it's a better experience for the people that do go, because it's less crowded. So to me, price increases are, one, if you're not keeping up with inflation, your buying power is just shot completely. And I do price increases all the time, sometimes on selective things, sometimes on across the board. And I will proudly say our carpet business is about 35% higher than our closest competition. And we do less work. We do less jobs. We're doing less work in the home, but our jobs, we'll do 2 or 3 jobs a day, where a lot of my competitors are doing 5 or 6. And how can you do a quality job when you're rushing through like that?
Yeah.
Well, the only reason they're rushing is because that's the only way they make money, is to do more jobs. Well, I would much rather do less jobs, do them better, which then, of course, lends to word of mouth and referrals and all the other stuff we've been talking
Yeah.
about. But you also get a chance to do that performance that I was talking about, to not be vanilla, because the price you are charging is affording you to do that.
So you said you were open to talking about things going on now, modern times, and we're talking about price increase and Disney within, I'm not sure 100%. I don't follow too hardcore. Though Disney has recently made an announcement of like the ultimate fast pass, skip all of the rides. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe what the mindset was, and using this example as well as your carpet cleaning to really, I want our the people watching this to get, we have a huge opportunity to take our business to the next level. And while there are people that are upset about the Disney price hike, the right people are going to be paying it. So can you tell us how we can apply that to our business?
Sure. I mean, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there is a percentage of your customers right now that will pay virtually anything to do business with you. So having a top tier package, having, I call them a whopper, I mean, it's the thing that's priced exorbitantly, and that if anybody actually ever buys it, it's time to raise its price, because also it's what's called a slack adjuster. It makes all the other prices look good. But there are people in your world that are always wanting what is next, or they are willing to pay for an experience. They're willing to pay more to have a better experience. Disney is the same way. They are charging. Yes, they have this new whiz bang fast pass thing coming out. And it does cost extra money. But there is a subset of the Disney guests. They don't care. They'll pay it. Some people might be ticked off. Well, that's fine. That's why we have different automobile companies. If we didn't have higher priced autos, we'd all be driving a Yugo because it was the cheapest car out there. But no, we have Mercedes and Audi and Lexus and Maserati and, Bugatti. I mean, they all have four wheels and an engine, and they go forwards and backwards. I mean, it's a commodity. It's a car, right? But you're going to get a Bugatti. Well, you're paying for the experience of having a fine performance vehicle versus a Yugo, which again does the same thing, maybe not as well, but it's essentially the same thing: four wheels and a motor. So yes, there are always people that are willing to pay a premium for a service that you have.
Love it. Love it. What would you say to the entrepreneurs? Because I deal with this all the time, because I'm all about let's raise your prices. And they're like, but, and I know you've already kind of sprinkled some nuggets in here for us. One or two more things for those people that are hesitant to raise their price. Why should you raise your price now, today, the beginning of next year? And maybe how do we do that?
No, wait, just raise your prices 10%. Nobody will ever notice. Serious. Raise your prices 10% today. That a 10% price increase equals a 50% increase in your bottom line. Just like that. So if your prices are $200 and they go up to $220, nobody's going to bat an eye. I guarantee it. Numbers wise, you could double your price and lose half of your customers and still be more profitable. I mean, it's just do the math. It proves the point. But when you charge a higher price, you can do nicer things for your customers. You can send them thank you notes. Maybe you send them a gift
or like a really cool thank you. Or I'm dropping stuff. Really cool. I got this amazing. I had to show it to y'all.
Oh, geez.
My amazing delivery service now Institute package. Got to be one of the best. And I made it a mess. It was much prettier before I opened it and took everything out and played with it.
Yeah.
Tell us why go through doing something like this.
Yeah, I mean, every business should have some version of what I call a shock and awe box. That's designed to like create authority and credibility immediately. It's also designed to convey that you are just something a little bit different and you are a premium service. So while that box that I sent you is for my coaching and consulting business, I still do a version of that in the carpet cleaning business. So when was the last time? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you had a plumber, pest control guy, maybe a carpet cleaner come to your home and give you a gift before they did any work? I mean, they didn't even quote you, nothing. They just, here's a gift. Has that ever happened to you?
No, I think the most I've ever gotten is a pen.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's a
And
tchotchke.
that to me, as somebody that owned a promotional products company before I started this, it doesn't count.
Yeah. It's not really a gift because it's got your logo on it, and it doesn't really have much value. I mean, what, 13 cents? I mean, woo. But you can give something that really makes an impact on your customer. So in our carpet business, every new customer gets a little blue box from us. And inside the box is a bottle of our spot remover, so something they can actually use, a bag of cookies, and a little note from me thanking them for allowing us into your home. And if you have any questions or problems, here's my personal cell phone number. Feel free to call. Giving that gift separates us from everybody else in the space, in the niche. Nobody does it. Most of my competitors know that I do it, but yet they don't copy it. Why? Because they can't afford to, because they don't have a pricing structure that allows them to do nice things for their customers. The other thing this gift does is it starts a process called reciprocity. I give something to you, you feel compelled to give something back to me. So when we implemented this gift, we saw a 26% increase in our mid-tier package, which equated to about an additional $65,000, $70,000 a year in revenue, just by delivering that little gift.
Nice, nice. Now, I know when it comes to retention, that is a topic you talk about a lot, and you've got something going on next week. You want to tell us a little bit about how we can make more money? I'm all about well, let's see that. I've got the money over here. It's kind of hiding today.
There you go. Yeah.
So let's talk about more money.
Sure. Well, I mean, we've talked a little bit about, the easiest person to sell to is somebody you've already sold to. So a previous customer. And so I've got a whole bunch of strategies and tactics that I'm going to reveal on how to keep a customer once you got them, how to put a titanium fence around them that keeps your customers in, and most importantly, your competitors out. So I've got a complete system, both through the mail, through email, through gifts for your clients, that I'm going to be showing the strategies that I use that has made my carpet cleaning company and my coaching company that much better and that much more profitable, because I pay attention to the people that I've already cleaned for or served. And it's really just it's mission critical. I can't say it any simpler. It's mission critical that you have some sort of loyalty or retention system built into your business. And it's not expensive. I mean, you can send a postcard for 50 cents. And what if that postcard generates $300, $400, $500? So, I mean, I have an entire sequence of reminder cards for my carpet and my mold remediation business. Hey, it's almost been a year since your last cleaning. Let's offer you this. And people are like, oh, okay, great. I didn't realize I had to clean my carpet every year. I mean, you don't, but you should. It's kind of gross if you don't, too. Think about what's in there. Well, think about what's in your carpet after a year. I mean, you walk through the Wawa parking lot, you got gas, you went into the public restroom and didn't take your shoes off at the front door, and now you're in the house. Yuckies.
I have one bedroom left with carpet in my house, because I'm like, after we pulled up the carpet when we bought this house, I'm like, oh, gross. Yes, so it needs to be cleaned quite frequently. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different ways to stay relevant and to remind your customers that you exist. And it is, as we've talked, and I've beaten the horse dead, it is infinitely more expensive to get a new one than it is to keep an old one.
Yeah. So y'all can go to go.deliverservicenow.com /MMM24. Now, Vance, two last questions for you. The second question I'll ask you in a moment will be any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience. But prior to doing that, where can we find you online?
Usually in some state of, no, I'm just kidding. Online, my website is usually the best, deliverservicenow.com. There's a whole bunch of freebie downloads and strategies and white sheets and things that you can grab and actually start implementing right away. I'm sure you can find me on LinkedIn or Flakebook, but website's the best place to start.
Gotcha. And hey, y'all, while you're online, just a reminder, we do have every Tuesday afternoon our More Abundant Entrepreneur community event starting just after 2:30. We wrap up before 4 Eastern, and we would love to see you. You can go to moreabundantentrepreneurs.com/events to check those out and come on out and play. So Vance, last opportunity here to share with the viewing audience a tip, whatever it may be that you want to share with us to help us with Disneyfying all that we're doing.
Sure. I think that we as business owners and entrepreneurs have all the information we need to make our businesses better. What we were lacking is implementation. So what I say to you is, if you've listened to this and you've picked up a nugget or two, you bought a training program recently, or you've hired a coach, implement. That's my only saying, is you won't profit unless you implement. And take one thing, take the 10% price increase, and go ahead, just implement it. Guarantee you might have one or two little hiccups, somebody's going to burp the wrong direction. But in my experience, we've raised prices and nary a peep from anybody.
Well, Vance, thank you so much for being here with us today. Y'all check out his event that is happening next week, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it, Tiffany.
Happy networking, y'all.